That's funny. I don't remember ordering any bitches. Oh, hey! There's Love Jedi.
Drunk Jedi time, a bit of box wine, maybe some vodka, maybe some pine. Not really sure, just gonna keep drinking that wine. All that's important in the world, condensed into a drunk session with a man in a Jedi robe.
So this week we target the helpless players that composed World of Warcraft by Blizzard Entertainment. Alright! It's gonna take weeks to get the smell of dog out of my robes. World of Warcraft was released in late November of 2004. Since then, it has set the stage as the leading multiplayer online role-playing experience globally, including massive markets in the United States, Europe, and China. Blizzard Entertainment developed the game as a successor to their all-too-popular Warcraft series, and the mod specifically Dota, which allowed the players to take a single individual hero and really just kind of run with it. This gave Blizzard the idea that they should create an idea centered around giving the players their own hero to kind of develop and play with. What we're talking about here tonight is why World of Warcraft will not die. Much like the undead race in the game, World of Warcraft continues to live on, even despite the fact that major competitors have released game after game in an attempt to dethrone it, including Guild Wars, which was actually composed of some of World of Warcraft's team members, Warhammer, which EA threw at it, only to lose, and maybe its most recent competitor, the Knights of the Old Republic, which attempted to do the same thing, but in a more futuristic and Jedi-infested setting. Which, really, I can't find any faults with. That's honestly a great idea. You guys keep that one up. But what we're here to discuss tonight is why World of Warcraft refuses to pass on into the Nether. The truth of the matter is that the game really has a lot of redeeming qualities that people tend to forget. Amongst the hatred from the gaming community for reasons abroad, World of Warcraft has actually contributed a great deal to the gaming community, and still remains one of the single most defining features of the MMO community, next to possibly EVE Online. The fact of the matter is there are a lot of redeeming qualities about this game, or perhaps even addicting qualities, not so much redeeming. The first and foremost is the simplicity of the game at hand. If you were to fire up a new character and look around, you can see how ridiculously easy it is to actually get into the game. There's nothing complex, it's not really tough, it's easy to deal with. There's nothing really too hard for a new player, ages 5 to whatever, to deal with. But beyond this, there's a variety of things that allow World of Warcraft to move up in the ranks. The most important thing, and the one that most game developers tend to forget, is that World of Warcraft will run on just about anything. In fact, I'm pretty sure I could run World of Warcraft on my microwave if I put enough effort into it. That's the thing that a lot of game developers these days tend to look at and forget about, is that most players do not have top-of-the-line gaming computers. In fact, most of them are stuck with laptops or whatever mommy and daddy could provide, or if they're, mommy and daddy themselves, whatever they could make from their kids' piggy bank to buy a small computer, maybe a netbook. World of Warcraft keeps in line by making sure that their game platform is able to run on even some of the oldest hardware platforms and profiles that exist today, allowing many players to pick up the game and not have to worry about whether or not it'll run or whether or not their graphics card will work with it. Those bugs were sorted out almost 8 years ago, so there's no real concerns for the World of Warcraft fan base as to whether or not they can actually get this thing to run. If you were to look at another game, say the Old Republic or Rift or even Warhammer Online, you'd see that their entire day is just infested with trying to figure out if they can debug this hardware or if they can get this graphics driver to work. It's really just kind of terrible. There's also the tiny and unignorable factor that there are very few bugs left in this game. After 8 years of development, World of Warcraft has finally hammered out the majority of game-breaking issues. Now, sure, there are issues that crop up time to time, like the tendency for the stopper to not work. Outside of that, though, there aren't really any major game-breaking bugs left. Most of them are smashed with a hammer and beaten to death. So most of the game is a pretty smooth experience for individuals who don't really go out of their way to break it. This makes it easy for World of Warcraft to really claim the title as a stable development platform and a stable place to work. On top of that, there's all the wonderful UI features, the ability to customize your UI, the ability to customize your keybinds. Pretty much everything you want to do with a game can be done. But at its core, there's something more complex that makes World of Warcraft addicting, and it's not simply the ability to play it on any platform or the fact that it's relatively stable. It's something more insidious than that. The fact is that World of Warcraft serves as a giant gambling device. And even though people may not realize it, what's going on in the human brain is this reward system, this carrot and stick that they've got to chase. And World of Warcraft provides that in droves. It attempts to manipulate the base instinct of the human brain to try and find something to improve themselves, and instead of themselves, it gets applied to their character, in this case, the one on screen. The way that this carrot and stick works is very simple. The player wants to make themselves better. They want to get in purple gear, or blue gear, or orange gear, if you can find that. And the way they do this is by providing a role system or even a loot table. Now, it seems like pretty standard fare for an RPG, but when you amp it up to the level that World of Warcraft does by making the gear the most important part of the game, you tend to change the rules of the way the human brain works. It starts chasing the reward or the achievements or the getting to the new boss and makes those a sort of gambling device for them. It makes that a way for the human brain to reconcile that if it does X actions enough, that eventually it will be rewarded. Now, I would hate to think that Blizzard is actually doing this on purpose, but, don't ever rule anything out from a gaming company. But it does speak clearly to the ability of WoW to continue its longevity. It's a simple game with simple rules and a simple reward. But then you might ask yourself, why not, something like Adventure Quest, which just rolls random numbers and levels you up? The fact is that controllability, the idea that you are somehow in control of how that character evolves and expands, is also a critical factor that you alone are responsible for what happens. It's insidious, like I said. It's beautiful. I mean, to be able to manipulate someone, it's almost Sith-like. There's probably also something to be said about the wonderful and beautiful array of graphics and sounds that come with a game and are almost unignorable when you're trying to talk about it. I mean, one could look at World of Warcraft and say, look at those old graphics, but you have to realize they're very stylized, and that does a lot to save it, as opposed to, being ultra-realistic, must show more animations, let's see the lens flare, J.J. Abrams. Sorry, sometimes I get into these strange fits. So what's finally going to kill World of Warcraft? Well, it might actually be the game itself. With the next expansion preparing to release adorable pandas and, Pokemon for all intents and purposes. There is clearly still development going into this, but I feel like Blizzard's probably pulling most of their resources to other projects like Diablo 3 and Titan. With that in mind, most competitors are smelling the blood in the water and are hoping to get some of World of Warcraft's fan base. Now, sadly, most of World of Warcraft's competitors don't realize they have to release a game just as good, if not better, than World of Warcraft in order to compete. I'm looking at you, BioWare. This means that until someone comes along with a game that not only mimics World of Warcraft's ability to play that carrot and stick, but also pulls its community out, World of Warcraft is in it for the long run. Hell, look at EverQuest or Ultima Online. They still have players on private servers. It is almost ridiculous how long an MMO has staying power if it can get to the right place. EVE Online will likely last another 2 decades before anyone's able to dethrone it because no one really wants to recreate that. That's just spreadsheets. That's all that is. Goon Squad, I know you're out there. Spreadsheets. That's all it is. The truth of the matter is that World of Warcraft is here to stay, and it's probably going to stay for a good long time. At least until Diablo 3, Guild Wars 2, or the Old Republic finally start to knock off some of its player base. In truth, World of Warcraft will probably sit around happily with 6 to 8 million subscribers for at least another 3 steady years, until Titan or some other project from Blizzard itself is the only one to dethrone it. This isn't to say that WoW isn't a perfect little game. Let's face it, the community itself could really use a revamp. It seems the players are the reason the game sometimes tends to suck. But overall, the game's a pretty enjoyable experience if you're into that kind of thing. Now, if you're not, it's just not for you. But for the 10 million people that play it, it's a nice thing to occupy some time, and it's probably better than Facebook at the very least, or surfing some terrible meme-infested website. In truth, I'm sure once Aerith figures out the secret to holograms and Twi'lek dancers, you'll drop that World of Warcraft thing faster than you can say baked potato. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm gonna drink this, these booze. And, get back to fighting the Sith for the Republic. Seriously, don't tell them I'm down here. You got the best canteen.